In Chapter 304, the Golden Dragon and Panis travel to a distant place deep in the forest. Here, the tree roots release Panis, while the Golden Dragon begins channeling spiritual energy to create a healing orb, aiming to recover both Panis and the exhausted Red Dragon. Meanwhile, Divine Tree is engaged in an intense battle. After being pushed back by Dom, he orders all his subordinates to attack. However, this time, the Golden Dragon rushes in and unleashes a breath attack, roaring that mere flies are unworthy of fighting his clan leader. True to the dragon's might, a single breath incinerates 1,000 square meters of land. Some high-jumping demons manage to approach him mid-air, catching the Golden Dragon off guard, potentially putting him in danger. But no. Divine Tree intervenes in time, striking down 2 demons simultaneously with a ranged attack. Divine Tree is proficient in both ranged and melee combat. Now, with a cold demeanor, he orders the Golden Dragon to descend to the ground. The Golden Dragon breaks into a cold sweat, feeling as though he's being reprimanded, but he complies. Then, the battle between Dom and Divine Tree resumes. Dom still doesn't understand why a mere 4th Order Dark Elf Transcendent is so insistent on seeking revenge against him. As they exchange blows fiercely, shockwaves ripple out, and it seems Divine Tree is being pushed back. Divine Tree doesn't deny one truth: the weak deserve to be oppressed. Dom also finds some logic in this statement. Meanwhile, he concentrates spiritual energy into his right hand, declaring his intent to trap Divine Tree in a barrier once again. Now that the White Dragon is dead, he challenges, who will save Divine Tree this time? But before he can act, a devastating punch lands squarely on his face, sending him skidding 100 meters away. Dom was stunned. He couldn't believe it. The punch was so strong that it fractured the bones in his face. And what was this before him? Massive tree roots piercing through the void and surging outward relentlessly. Now, Divine Tree began to declare that on every step of his journey here, Dom's territory had been filled with injustice and death. Therefore, Dom was unworthy of being the god of this world. Instantly, space shattered into an even larger fragment. Giant roots plunged straight into the ground. Not only that, but the Golden Dragon noticed the cracks in space growing wider and larger. At that moment, Divine Tree's entire body became enveloped in a faint golden aura, his power surging higher and higher. Dom, astonished, demanded to know what Divine Tree was doing. "What am I doing?" Divine Tree boldly proclaimed. "This is the moment you witness my true form." Then, from the vast void, a dazzling mouth appeared, releasing spiritual energy like a roaring ocean, pouring into this world. In that instant, every beast felt a chilling dread crawl up their spines, as though facing the purest essence of death itself. The Golden Dragon roared, feeling as though he were being buried beneath 10 layers of earth, crushed by a tidal wave of overwhelming power. What kind of monstrous strength is this? Indeed, this was Divine Tree's true essence, the King of Darkness. Dom was no better off, beginning to suspect that he had drawn the short straw from the start and provoked the wrong enemy. From afar, the god of nature observed without blinking, exclaiming in disbelief, "That dark elf is actually a 5th Order Transcendent." Divine Tree sat beneath a colossal column of spiritual energy, surrounded by countless roots. Not only was he a 5th Order Transcendent, but the density of his spiritual energy was so intense it suffocated all living beings around him. Finally, Dom couldn't help but shout, demanding, "Who are you?" "Divine Tree." Divine Tree replied calmly, "I come from Earth, and the god of Misty Mountain," Divine Tree added. Dom immediately dismissed the notion, deeming Divine Tree unworthy of such a title. He sneered, finding it laughable that Divine Tree would call himself a god, and charged forward in a fury, ready for close combat. At that moment, dozens of golden spiritual orbs materialized around Divine Tree, simultaneously shooting straight at the advancing Dom. Naturally, Dom didn't dodge and took the full brunt of the attack. However, these strikes were unlike before. Their power had increased significantly, with each hit forcing a grimace from him. Finally, Dom was sent crashing into the ground, and Divine Tree's spiritual energy beams sliced a rocky mountain in half. The Golden Dragon could hardly believe it. For the first time, he witnessed Dom being pummeled and buried within a mountain. Divine Tree calmly instructed Dom to take a good look, for this was the true power of Divine Tree. Then, His entire body erupted with spiritual energy once more. The massive mouth of Divine Tree's true form opened wide and engulfed him. At the moment when the Dark Elf and Divine Tree's powers merged, an immense beam of light shot into the heavens. The skies and earth seemed on the verge of collapse, and the ground trembled violently. From beneath the rubble, a massive arm emerged. Slowly, Divine Tree revealed his form, a colossal body rising from the earth. Dom was speechless, his wide eyes fixed on the spectacle before him. His instincts screamed at him to act before it was too late. Gripping his spiritual axe, he let out a thunderous roar. Yet something felt off. Through the dust and smoke, something barreled toward him at an incredible speed. With a thunderous impact, Wardom was punched deep into the ground. End of chapter 304.